let's go!
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Angle Podcast. Today, we are doing the Angle Podcast prediction and preview show for WWE Money in the Bank 2021. The first, or we should say the second event of the year that's going to have fans, but the first event of this year, post-pandemic era. The Thunderdome is officially done. We are back to fans, and I'm so excited to be here today with Battle from the Battleground Podcast. Welcome to the Angle Podcast. And I'm so glad you're here to talk about Money in the Bank.
Man, Joey, greatly do appreciate you let me invade the podcast and let me be on the show. Been following your YouTube stuff, putting up some great work. So by the way, if you're watching this right now and you hear me talking, go ahead and hit that like button down there for Joey. And also make sure you hit that subscribe button so we can know that you're doing that right now as we talk. So go do that right now. Thanks for having me on the show, man. I'm looking forward to talking about this.
Yeah, so Money in the Bank, the first, like I said, the first pay-per-view of the year, post-pandemic era of WWE. We're expecting some surprises, maybe some returns, debuts, whatnot. We're already starting to see some shakeups with the rosters. Is there any match on this card in particular that you're looking forward to most?
I'm kind of looking forward to, I guess, the Edge and Roman match. That's the match that I think a lot of people are looking forward to because we haven't seen Edge since WrestleMania. And, you know, if you bring Edge back, you can't just not bring him back and not have the title. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So is this going to be the time? And we could break that down later, but that's the match that I'm looking forward to, of just Edge versus Roman, not Edge, Roman, and Daniel Bryan.
And I think for me, honestly, it's the same match, the Roman versus Edge match, just because when Edge returned a few weeks ago on SmackDown, for me it was like, oh, this is a big fight feel, you know, Roman and Edge. This was supposed to be the main event of WrestleMania. So I think that this is going to be the match of the night. But I do want to start talking about one of the matches that was actually just announced this past Monday for the card, and that is the Raw Tag Team Championship match between AJ Styles and or it's AJ Styles and Omos taking on the Viking Raiders for the Raw Tag Team Championship. This match, I feel like, has been brewing for quite some time now, just because there is no tag teams.
Exactly.
I mean, AJ and Omos coming together was done because there are no tag teams. So what are your thoughts on this match? I mean, taking place, it was supposed to be a Monday Night Raw next week. They moved it to Money in the Bank. So what are your thoughts?
You know, I feel as if, and like you made the notion that there's no tag teams on Raw. So I feel as if on this one, I think that Viking Raiders get it. They get to win the titles in front of people. As much as I want to see that entire arena chanting war, 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 will WWE allow it? Maybe not. Who knows? We'll see. But I want to see them get the titles because, I mean, they're a legitimate tag team. And AJ and Omos got thrown together. They've been working great. You can tell that AJ is kind of carrying it and seeing what happens. And it's good for Omos. I always mess it up every time.
So do I. Don't worry.
It's so hard because it's like Omos. And then my redneck comes out and then I'm just like, what? I'm just going to call him O. But I think it is time for Viking Raiders to get that tag team title back. Cause I mean, they had it when fans were there, and they had it during the post-pandemic because they had that weird, was it last year? Was it at Money in the Bank that they had that weird match where it was them and maybe Street Profits, and then they fought ninjas in the parking lot? And
yeah, it was sometime. Yeah, it was early last year, and they did this whole like best of series of something. I don't know.
Right. Yeah. And it was funny and entertaining to watch it. But I think now, I think it's time that Viking Raiders get the titles back, and then we'll figure out what other tag teams come over because we got the draft coming up. So I think it's a good time to give them the titles.
I think so too. Being that there are, I mean, the big thing here, the big key here is there really are no tag teams, not only on Raw, but I guess in general in WWE. You have the New Day on Raw. You have Lucha House Party. You have AJ and Omos. the Viking Raiders, and I mean, I guess you can say RK Bro if they are, official. I guess they are an official tag team.
Yeah.
But for right now, with the fans coming back, I think you need some strong champions going forward to really bring people back to live events. And I think the Viking Raiders being the ones to lead the charge of the tag division would be a strong, because you know how intense they are, you know how entertaining they are. There's so many aspects to them that really draw people in. So I think you're right. I'm gonna have to agree with you. I think that they are gonna somehow win the titles. Now the question is, do they pin Omos? I mean, this guy is on a warpath. I mean, I guess you could say warpath, but not really, because he's had one or two matches, three matches since he debuted at WrestleMania. So I'm not sure what they're doing with him.
I don't think AJ takes the pin in this at all.
No.
I do think if Viking Raiders do win, I think Omos takes the pin.
Yeah.
And then this either sets him up for something, because you don't want to see them break up, because then afterwards it's like, what are you going to do with Omos? Like, is he just going to sit on the shelf? Is he just going to be another big guy? I mean, they're not bringing Raw Underground back. So, I mean, you saw Dabo go and he's with Apollo now. And that's the thing afterwards. I think I want to see AJ go after another big title run, not a mid-card title, not the tag team titles. I understand it's a filler thing for them right now, because it was like, what are we going to do? But I think it's time for AJ to go on that title run.
I think so too. I think the he's being groomed for something more. Obviously, there's no tag team, so let's utilize the talent we have. I mean, not all the time do we see this from WWE, but I'm glad they're doing it with at least AJ. Building almost in the process. So I definitely think that holding the title since WrestleMania, Money in the Bank, first event back with fans, get a big pop from the Viking Raiders. Like you said, everyone's screaming war. So I think Viking Raiders, they're going to walk away with the titles.
Yeah, for sure. That's what I'm hoping. So,
yeah. Well, staying on topic of Monday Night Raw, I mean, we do have another match that has been brewing, I guess you can say, for quite over a year now. Finally going, I guess you could say, one-on-one at a pay-per-view again. Rhea Ripley versus Charlotte Flair for the Raw Women's Championship. This match is one that I think the fans are tired of seeing. But it can be a great match. We've seen it happen at WrestleMania, a great match. So what are your thoughts? Where do you think that they go with this whole storyline?
It's going to be interesting, because with Rhea, you've brought her in to Raw. You hyped her up for weeks and all these vignettes and promos, and she's came in as the badass Rhea that we knew from NXT, not the Rhea that lost to Charlotte at WrestleMania last year. This is like a new and improved badass Rhea Ripley.
Confident.
Do I want Charlotte to win? No. As big as a Charlotte fan as I am, and we've had her on the show twice, I don't think she needs to be the title holder at the moment. I know that's the go-to thing, that if something's not happening, you either gave it to Charlotte or you give it to Becky. I think Rhea has been very phenomenal with that title. I think Rhea deserves a title run with fans. And if you put anybody in a match with Charlotte, they're going to make you look good. And that's what's going to happen in front of these fans. And I think at the end of the match, I really think that it's going to be Rhea getting her hand raised over Charlotte. And then maybe if, let's say, and we could say this for part of the other one, because there's still somebody that hasn't been announced for the women's Money in the Bank ladder match. So maybe Charlotte gets pissed off because she loses.
Yeah. And
she jumps somebody in the back, and Charlotte goes in for the ladder match, and then it sets up for that.
Yeah. And she is tight with management. So you never know. She could just, get herself placed in. There is one more spot available. So
exactly.
Yeah. So there's a lot of different ways to go. I personally, I've always been a fan of Rhea Ripley, especially in her NXT days. I think now having her on Raw in this position, a different Rhea Ripley than we're used to seeing. And I'm not sure if I'm fully behind it yet. I loved her in NXT. I love the work that she's doing now, really being that confident person, that confident champion on Raw, who is going toe-to-toe with Charlotte. Normally, we're used to seeing people bow to Charlotte.
For sure.
And I think that Rhea is holding her ground. So I would definitely like to see Rhea leave as champion, but I also wouldn't be opposed to Charlotte winning, causing some controversy, and having Rhea maybe go back into the hunt mode and maybe even allow other people to step up because Charlotte is, the end all be all in WWE.
Right. Now, let me ask you this. Now, when it comes to with Charlotte, would you rather her break her dad's record of holding the most titles, or would you rather it be Cena? Because for a while, that was what we all thought as wrestling fans, that if anybody breaks the streak of, somebody having the world title, it's got to be Charlotte beating her dad.
Yeah.
Not Cena beating Ric Flair.
I look at it like this. I'm more of a, I don't know, I guess you could say historian when it comes to that wrestling stuff.
Yeah.
Charlotte Flair's, she hasn't even been on the main roster yet for not even 10 years yet,
Yeah.
And she's coming up to that number. Cena has been in WWE. I mean, how long now? He came in.
I mean, it's been a while.
Came in his 20s, and he just had his 44th, 45th birthday, something like that.
Yeah. So I'd say 20 years, give or take?
About 20 years now. How many of Charlotte's title defenses or title victories can you say you remember? And how many of Cena's can you say you can remember?
Right. And see, that's a tough thing, is like, not trying to get off topic for Money in the Bank topics, but I mean, that's the thing that you thought there for a second when Charlotte just kept continuously winning back the title. You're like, all right, is this going to be the storyline that like Charlotte beats her dad and then finally is like, I'm out of your shadow kind of thing as a wrestling fan and, make believe Booker in my head. That's what you kind of thought, but you don't know if you want it to happen or not.
Yeah, you can either go by the number of wins or the number of title wins, and that's what goes down in history, or you can talk about what goes down forever, in moments, and that's what WWE is about, is creating moments. And
for sure,
you look at how many Cena has created opposed to Charlotte, I would definitely have to say Cena is the way to go, because I can name, a bunch of his title victories or defenses. Charlotte, I feel like it's just been over a very short period of time because there has been no one else.
Right, for sure.
Not taking anything away from Charlotte. She's a great champion, and I think she definitely will get close to that number. But I think if you're looking to see who should be the one, I think it should be Cena.
Yeah, I think it's got to be Cena. I mean, the guy's hustle. No pun intended. He's hustled his way through that company, and I mean, he's getting what he deserves. So
yeah, and to see him where he is today, I mean, in box office movies, I mean, it's every wrestling fan's worst nightmare when they see their favorite guys, leave to Hollywood. But it's also, if you pull the wrestling fan out of you and you look at, what this guy has been able to accomplish. I mean, all the props to him. That's an amazing, not everybody can do it.
Yeah, no, so, I mean, a lot of people, when The Rock started doing it, they're like, well, what is he doing? Like, it was these slow, very movies, and now look at him.
Yep. So, highest paid actor at one point in Hollywood. I mean,
yeah. And now he owns the XFL.
Yeah. Yeah. So on topic of, talking about Charlotte and Money in the Bank, we both kind of agree that Rhea is going to be walking away as champion.
For sure.
Although I personally would not mind seeing either one, because I think it creates more stories, I guess, and that's what's kind of lacking right now on Raw.
Yeah, and I think that is. I mean, it's you watch Raw, and my thing is sometimes if I don't watch it, I just scroll through social media, and that's how I figure out what it is. But then when I've seen it, it's like it's the same stuff every week, and I get that they're building up to a pay-per-view. But it's just like, what is this?
Sorry. Yeah, no, it's definitely one of those things where it's very predictable. The product is very predictable, especially Monday Night Raw, which is why I said if Charlotte can somehow walk away with the title, people are going to be in shock and they're going to boo, really loud boo. And for the first show back in front of fans, a loud boo is still a really, really great reaction. So I mean, I wouldn't be surprised with either or, to be honest.
Yeah. And I think I'm very interested to see what fans are going to do, because if you look in the Thunderdome, I mean, they've been able to control who gets booed and who gets cheered.
Exactly.
Now you got live fans. You're not going to be able to dictate the story.
Yep. And that's kind of leading me to my next match that I want to talk about, and that is the men's Money in the Bank ladder match. This year we have a plethora of guys who I think that in their own right can walk away with the briefcase. We have on the Raw side, we have Riddle, Ricochet, John Morrison, and Drew McIntyre. On SmackDown, we have Big E, Kevin Owens, Shinsuke Nakamura, and Seth Rollins. I mean, this is a stacked match. And like I said, any one of these guys can walk away as the winner. What are your thoughts?
Man, you sit here and look, and it's like the whole card. And I think Drew, I don't know if it's time for Drew's chance to win it. I think this is Big E's time. I want to see Big E get the Money in the Bank briefcase. And maybe if it's not Big E, maybe Shinsuke, because I love this King Shinsuke.
Yeah, I mean, they're going with it.
But everybody else, I don't think Kevin Owens gets it. I think there's something later down the road for him. I think Drew, I don't think it's Drew's time again, because I mean, throwing him right back into the title picture after losing it, maybe Riddle could be a possibility just because he's so funny and everybody thinks to like him. I think they put Ricochet and Morrison in this match because, I mean, let's be honest, we want to see the high flying spots from those two.
And Kofi's
and Kofi, yeah. And I mean, you just want to see what's going to happen with this.
Yeah.
And, I really think that with the men's ladders matches, it's got to be Big E for this one. It's his time.
When I think about all the different directions they can go with this match, literally my mind is like ready to explode, because on the SmackDown side, you have, Kevin Owens. A lot of people are not predicting that he's going to win it, but months ago, he said on Talking Smack that if he's in the Money in the Bank match, he's going to win it. He's going to go after Roman. They have history. So there is a possibility there. That's the direction they go. I don't think that's what's going to happen, but it's open. You also have Shinsuke. Shinsuke also has some history with Roman. Earlier in the year when they were, leading up to WrestleMania, they had all that beat the clock or whatever tournament they had. And Shinsuke held his own. And, it almost was Shinsuke to earn a shot against Roman. Now they're building this thing with Seth, where it looks like somewhere down the road, we're going to get Seth and Roman for the title. Seth being the one who was supposed to be in Money in the Bank, who management told him that he'd be in the match. Then it went to Edge. So I guess you can say he has a fair shot of walking away with the briefcase. And then if you look on Raw, I mean, Ricochet and John Morrison, these are the two I would honestly be shocked if they did walk away with the win. And then you have Riddle, who really just, where's Randy Orton?
Yeah.
Does Randy Orton cost Riddle this match for ultimately costing Randy Orton his spot?
Yeah.
Sorry.
And you kind of want to see maybe possibly Randy and Riddle get the tag team titles. I mean, it's just kind of fun to watch these two go every week. But I mean, I would like to see them have the tag team titles, because I think it would be funny.
Someone actually tweeted to me during Raw, I think last week or the week before. They said Riddle's not winning, that Randy Orton is going to cost Riddle the match to set up a big match at SummerSlam. And I'm like, wow, that would be great. But I would also love to see them walk away with the Raw tag team titles.
Right. And WWE loves to throw just random people together.
Yeah.
And I think this is a good time.
They're promoting RK Bro all over the place, but where is Randy? So maybe Randy comes in at Money in the Bank to help Riddle win.
Exactly.
So there's, like I said, there's so many paths they can go. Now, I think the dark horse in this match obviously is Drew McIntyre, because Drew is, I mean, you could say he is the face of WWE during the pandemic era, or one of the faces. But the big but here is he lost at Hell in a Cell. He's no longer allowed to have a championship match while Bobby Lashley is champion. So is the Money in the Bank a loophole?
Right.
He does win. But again, I definitely have to agree with you here. I think Big E is the way to go. And I actually created a whole, I don't know if you saw it on Twitter. I created a whole like storyline a couple days ago where I said, okay, earlier in the night we have the Money in the Bank match. Big E wins. Later on in the show, you have Lashley versus Kofi. Kofi loses to Lashley, and then Big E cashes in on Lashley, wins the WWE Championship, moves over to Raw, and the New Day ultimately turns on Big E because Kofi's pissed he didn't win, and now we have the new Hurt Business with the New Day and Lashley and MVP.
I like that.
MVP.
And here's what I might do. And I'm gonna take your idea because on Friday we've got a new episode dropping of the Battleground Podcast. Kofi Kingston's gonna be on the show, so right. I will throw that idea out there and see kind of what his reaction's gonna be.
Yeah.
And I will make sure to credit you the entire way through it, and we'll see what Kofi's reaction is in this video that we're gonna do with him to see what he thinks if this could happen.
Yeah, I mean, let me tell you, I almost got slaughtered on Twitter because people were like, the New Day always said they would never break up. They would never do anything like this, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, this is WWE and they want some big stuff to come back from the pandemic era. I mean, this would be a big, big way. I mean, because I know there was rumblings of putting Big E on Raw. There was some talk of, moving him over there. And how do you create this storyline? Because then ultimately, Bobby Lashley is open for a match with Lesnar at SummerSlam if Kofi and Big E are in the title picture. So It does make sense, but I can definitely see it going a whole other way. That's why I think, Big E, I did think maybe Corbin had a chance if he was going to be in the match, just because he's been on the losing end lately.
I really feel that Corbin needs to get a shot somehow, somewhere.
I thought maybe Money in the Bank, like, how they usually they'll basically bury it. It looks like they're burying a character and then give him one slingshot win to revamp himself. So I thought maybe that's what Corbin was getting.
And that's what I thought. Especially with this whole sad Corbin and you're poor and all this other stuff. Maybe this is, like you said, this is the setup. Maybe he comes in somehow and attacks somebody, and like maybe he beats up Shinsuke and be like, well, Shinsuke can't do it, so I'll do it.
Yeah. This match, I think it's going to be an exciting one. But I think the best part about it is that you can give a story for why each one of these guys could win the match.
Exactly.
And that makes it unpredictable. And that for me is very exciting.
Yeah. And I think, kind of doubling down, I think it's going to be Big E. And the way you explain that storyline, I'm all for it. And, maybe even this could be even long-term storytelling. Well, let's hypothetically, and I'll bring this up. So actually, I'm going to shelve that and bring it up when we talk about the Kofi and Bobby Lashley match. So I'm going to save that thought.
Got it. I'm excited to hear it now. So keeping things on track with the Money in the Bank ladder match. Let's talk about the women's Money in the Bank ladder match. This match, first time in a long time, I'm excited to see this many, women that I'm actually interested to see more of in this match. We have on the SmackDown side, we have Zelina Vega, which huge surprising return. Glad she's back in WWE.
That was kind of a shocker.
That was. And it was being reported by a lot of people, and I still didn't think that it would be that soon because it was like the same day.
Yeah.
So a shocker there. We have Zelina Vega. We have Liv Morgan, Natalya, who was recently added, and there's one more spot open for the SmackDown side. And on Raw, we have Asuka, Naomi, Alexa Bliss, and Nikki Ash, whatever you want to call her.
Right.
Almost a superhero. So there's a lot of opportunity in this match.
I think I really feel as if like with this whole new Nikki Cross, you kind of feel as if like they're gonna let her do this and let her maybe have the thing, because I mean you followed her along on Twitter and you see her like frustration about how she's been used and utilized, and then she comes out as a superhero. And as a wrestling fan, I was like, what the hell is this? Like, I have no idea. Is this like when Hurricane and Molly Holly did their thing? Like,
my hands are just up in the air.
I didn't know what it was. And so I'm like, okay, cool. This is an interesting concept. I feel as if like it should be Liv. Also, Liv has the opportunity to do it.
Yeah.
But I just think after watching Raw over the past several weeks, I feel as if somehow Alexa Bliss wins this. And I feel as if somehow maybe this is where we see Bray show up and help her win the title. Like Bray's sitting there, lights go out, comes back on, and he's like, I mean, I don't think he's going to be on top of a ladder because you can't do that now that you're not in the Thunderdome, but maybe Bray shows up because, I mean, this is the first big show since Mania that they've had crowds, and he's been off since Mania.
Yeah, but maybe he cost her the Money in the Bank.
I could see that too.
What happened at WrestleMania?
Maybe he takes the doll and stomps on it.
Does something. I would not be surprised to see Alexa Bliss win because I feel like they're really pushing her to an elevated spot in the division. But the big question here is who's going to be that last member on the SmackDown side. I mean, you said maybe before it's Charlotte. Charlotte gets herself put in. I mean, maybe it's Tamina, being that both, women's tag champions are in the match. I mean, that would be, a logical answer too. But who else on the roster? Who else can be put in this match? Whether she's on the roster or maybe just a surprise.
I feel as if like every wrestling fan wants it to be Becky Lynch, especially after they posted photos.
Yep.
I don't feel as if Becky will come out for that. If she shows up, I feel as if Becky shows up for the winner of the Rhea and Charlotte match to be like, that's mine, I'm coming to reclaim it kind of thing. Because she never really lost it. She gave it up. Yeah. So technically she could still go after and get a title rematch, all that, whatever. I feel as if they'll throw, is Nia Jax hurt? I feel as if they'll throw Nia Jax in there. Yeah, because they want.
You have Shayna too. Shayna's.
Yeah, because I feel as if they would want Nia in there just to wreak havoc and just go to town and beat the piss out of people.
Yeah.
And of course, nobody can be on here and be like, "Oh, it's gonna be Ronda Rousey." Well, sorry guys, she's pregnant, so there's no way that's happening.
Exactly.
But I mean, it could be it could be Becky, it could be Nia. I mean, it could be Doudrop and Eve Marie throws her out there.
Yeah.
And that's how Eve Marie's like, I'm gonna be the champion, but Doudrop's gonna go win the thing for me and then throw it down to me. So I mean, there's a lot of possibilities. There's a lot of female talent that are there and ready to go, and maybe maybe somebody from NXT shows up and takes the spot.
Question. Could it be like Toni Storm? I know she's coming, but I mean,
yeah, maybe it could be Shotzi. I mean, they could throw somebody in there.
Yeah. So who do you think is going to walk away the 2021 Miss Money in the Bank?
I really think it's going to be Alexa, especially with her tormenting the roster and all this other stuff over the past couple weeks. It's got to be Alexa.
I have a theory out there, and I'll let you finish first.
Because I look at it and it's like, okay, well, if Liv wins it, is it because, hey, we pretty much got rid of your friends with riffs? Is it going to be, Nikki because, hey, we're giving you a new gimmick? And a lot of people, and I know this will happen, and I will call it right now, a lot of people will say that Naomi will not win it because of the whole situation with the DUI and all that other stuff. So people will throw that conspiracy theory out there.
Yeah.
And I'd like to see Asuka, win it. And you can't give it to Selena right off the bat as soon as she came in. So it's got to be Alexa.
My pick, it's probably going to throw you off here. My pick, I'm going to have to go with Zelina. I think that coming in the way that she did and losing to Liv in that first match, really, I think they're doing that to put her almost in the back seat of this match. So it is a surprising factor if she does win. But also look at the history that she has with Bianca Belair. I mean, she lost continuously to Bianca Belair.
True.
Last year or this year, whenever, I think it was last year. I mean, like, just brutally took losses to Bianca. And now that Bianca's champion, she's got a chip on her shoulder. And the first time she was in WWE, she also didn't really receive much of a singles push, I guess you can say.
Right.
So I think this time around, I think she's out for really what she deserves, a spot, being a champion in WWE. I think maybe she shocks the world and Zelina Vega wins the Money in the Bank and goes after Bianca.
I could definitely see that happening. And it kind of sucks because like you get excited thinking, all right, Bayley's, going to win this. And then of course the unfortunate accident and maybe what if WWE is swerving every single person, dirt sheets and all, and Bayley's really not hurt and she comes out as a surprise person?
I would be ecstatic. I think that where Bayley was positioned at this moment in time, she is the number one star of this pandemic era.
For sure.
She's been the greatest thing in WWE as of late. But here's another swerve. What if it ends up being Sasha Banks to come out and take that last spot?
And she hasn't been seen in a while.
Fill in for Bayley. Because I think when Bayley comes back, I don't think they have a choice but to make her a babyface in this kind of character she's in now. So I think maybe what if they throw Sasha?
I can see that, and I think I would like to see Sasha in it. And when I first saw it, and this is kind of talking about the Bayley thing, when I first saw it, it was like when WWE puts out the so-and-so's hurt, they never put a timetable on it. So I was like 9 months. And of course, all the people were like, oh, she's pregnant, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And, but it was just weird to me when it was like Bayley's out 9 months.
Yeah. In a training accident.
In a training accident. She was getting trained. And I read all the dirt sheets. All the stuff. And it's like, yeah, this is what happened. We talked to people on the inside. And I feel as if like the people on the inside are like, we're going to tell them this to throw them off.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden we're going to be doing this thing and Bayley's going to be like, I'm here. Haha, got you. And then climbs up the ladder, gets the briefcase, and she becomes the Mrs. Money in the Bank.
Yeah. Comes in the match later on and when everyone's already down and just does her thing. I mean, I wouldn't. Yeah. There's so many things about this show that I'm actually excited for because there is a lot of unpredictability.
Oh, for sure. And the fans being back, that's going to be the best part.
Yeah.
Like, and we've seen it with AEW. The fans make a hell of a difference.
Oh, hell yes, they do.
Yeah. I mean, it was great seeing them at WrestleMania, and I'll never forget the moment when Bianca slapped Sasha with that ponytail, and you see the dude in the pink ringside, like just take off running from his seat after that happened. Like that was one of probably the most memorable moment of the night. It's kind of like the guy when Undertaker lost and he's like,
yeah, he's like,
so that watching the guy in the pink jacket, if you ever get the chance to just kind of try to Google it, you see him jump and then run.
Yeah. It was just WrestleMania, I think, was a great moment because not only the matches, but like you said, just the fans being present, like really bringing what we've missed so much from wrestling over the last year or so.
Yeah.
So I'm excited. I mean, there's so much to look forward to with this pay-per-view. But there's 2 matches left I want to discuss with you. 2 big title matches on this card. One being for the WWE Championship. Bobby Lashley defends against Kofi Kingston. Really a spot for Kofi that a lot of people did not think was going to be possible again. Being that he won at WrestleMania 35, Kofi Mania running wild, and now Kofi is back in the title picture, doing an excellent job, might I add, doing some great mic work, some great promo work with Bobby Lashley, bringing the best out of Lashley that we really haven't seen in a long time.
Yeah, and I really think, like, I think Kofi could actually win this one, to be completely honest.
Yeah.
I think because Bobby Lashley's like, MVP, you screwed me, blah, 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 blah. I really think that it's going to come down to Kofi could win this with MVP's help.
Yeah. Either with his help or help to Lashley that backfires and ultimately helps Kofi, like what's been happening over the last few weeks.
Right. And I mean, the fact that Xavier beat Bobby the other night, I mean, yeah, that's got to go into some sort of sight going into it. It's okay, Xavier beat you. Maybe, just maybe if Kofi wins, MVP takes Kofi and Xavier under their wing. And maybe it could be going back to your storyline that you predicted. I mean, it could be some interesting stuff, but I feel as if the long-term storytelling, maybe Kofi wins this. And think back to when Kofi won WrestleMania and the viral video going around of MVP and Shad.
Yep.
Being very, very emotional.
Yep.
Long-term storytelling. What if that's part of it and MVP was like, I was there when you saw it, won it, very emotional thing. I hate how they screwed you over. You're going to come with me.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, being with MVP, you look at what he did. Bobby was in the storyline of having an affair with Lana. You had Cedric, who was just there. You had Shelton, who was losing matches on main event. And then MVP comes in and look at it. All of them had titles.
Hurt business doing.
Yeah.
MVP has been, I think, one of, no pun intended here, but one of the MVPs.
Oh, for sure.
Of the pandemic, time with WWE. He came in as a producer and transitioned to on-air talent, and nobody thought this is where he would be, a year later.
Right. And, we were right before he showed up at the Royal Rumble. We were actually, me and my co-host, we were actually able to see a wrestling show in Clarksville, Tennessee. It was Tried and True. And it was MVP's kind of like retirement match in a way. It was him versus Ricky Starks. Wow. And at the end of it, like MVP did the send off and he's like, hey, like, this is going to be my last match. There's some things happening, this, and this. And then he took the MVP chain off, laid it in the middle of the ring and walked out.
Wow.
And I was like, okay, something's about to happen. He's like done, or he was going to WWE. And then of course, all of a sudden he shows up at the Royal Rumble in the most amazing Black Panther ring gear ever. And I really think, like you said, no pun intended, he's been the MVP of the Thunderdome era.
Yeah.
And he has revitalized careers. He's doing just like Paul Heyman's done.
Yeah.
And I think if anything, I think that if Kofi can win, which I'm going to go ahead and go on record and say Kofi will win. If Kofi wins, MVP takes him under his wing. Xavier comes in, does his thing. Maybe Xavier gets a title. And maybe Big E comes over and he's like, hey, what happened to you guys? Like,
yeah,
maybe this is the time to turn Kofi and Xavier to heels and let Big E be the baby face.
Yeah. And if he's the Money in the Bank winner, it sets it up for a great opportunity.
Yeah. Now, would WWE make their most valuable assets heels? Probably not.
Yeah.
But it would be good to see. We never thought Roman Reigns was going to be a heel, but now look at it.
Yeah. Anything's possible.
Yeah.
But I definitely think that, you can kind of weigh out the options here. Do you see that a Big E winning? Obviously we both agree Big E is going to win the Money in the Bank. Now, if Kofi does win the WWE title and they go heel or they stay face, who would you say would be more available to be a heel? Do you have Kofi win the title as a face, Big E cashes in on Kofi and turns heel? Or do you have, like you said, the New Day aligns with MVP turning heel and you have Big E there as a face?
Yeah. And maybe this could be the dark horse. And maybe you have Xavier just be the heel and be like, look, like, I'm tired of being the comical guy, the guy behind you guys living in your shadow. Maybe Xavier turns heel.
Could be. I definitely do. For some reason, my gut is telling me to go with Bobby Lashley. I think that what's been happening over the last few weeks with him, especially losing to Xavier, this is just to show a weak side of Lashley. And I think, like he said on Monday, no more bullshit. I think on Sunday, there's no more bullshit. I think we're going to get that Lashley, that no pun intended here, but that beast Lashley that we've been really getting in a way, but not to the full extent, because he's had, the women and the champagne, and we just need that bare knuckle Bobby Lashley.
Yeah. And I think, this gives that opportunity that, if Bobby loses, this gives you the easy way to have Bobby versus Brock, not a title, doesn't have to worry. Us as fans don't have to be like, well, this is horseshit because Brock Lesnar just came back and he got the title again.
Yeah.
But
I don't think it should be with a title at all.
No, I think it should just be them two. And if you really want to go like really, really gritty, make it a non-sanctioned match.
Yeah.
So
it's a brawl.
Just let them go at it. That's all I want. We all want to see it. We've all wanted to see Bobby versus Brock. And, we had Bobby Lashley on our show not too long ago, and we asked him about it. And he's like, everybody wants to see it. I've asked WWE about it. That was the plan when I came back into WWE, that we would get Bobby versus Brock, and it never happened. And Bobby's like, Brock knows where I'm at.
Yeah.
So
now the real question is, do we get ponytail Brock, or do we get, the Brock that we're used to seeing?
If we don't get ponytail Brock, I'm not watching it. And it's got to be some kind of weird stipulation where it's like something versus ponytail.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking.
There's a lot of, like I said, I've been saying it the whole show. There's a lot of different options to go, a lot of different routes to go with this show. And I'm excited. I mean, there's just so much to be excited for. Not only the fans being back, but these matches. Either way, I'm going to be happy with the winners. I mean,
for sure.
Yeah. Lashley wins. Okay, great. But we have Money in the Bank. Someone can cash in. Kofi wins. Holy hell, everyone's excited. But then again, Money in the Bank. So
yeah. And like you said, it's going to be exciting because fans are back. And WWE is not going to just put on a normal in the Thunderdome pay-per-view. They are going to go all out for this show. They're going to pull out all the stops.
Yep. Now there is so for the record, you're going with Kofi and I am going with Bobby Lashley for this match.
Yes, I'm going with Kofi all the way.
Now, the last match I do want to discuss is, like we've been talking about, is one of the biggest matches, I think, of the year, really. It was supposed to be penciled in as the WrestleMania main event. It's the Universal Championship match between the champion Roman Reigns and the Rated R superstar, the Iconoclast, Edge.
Yeah.
This is a one for the ages match.
And it's going to be tough because we've talked about this on our show. Who's the person that beats Roman? It is going to be the hardest thing to do. And the only way that you could possibly beat him is if somehow somebody screws him. And I think maybe the Usos. And I've said this numerous times, and I have died on this hill looking like an idiot. I feel as if like the Usos are got to be the ones that cost Roman the match. And that's the only way you can get the title off of Roman. Because Roman, you're not going to beat him clean because he is just too good right now. And I figured, at WrestleMania, throwing Daniel Bryan in there, I figured Edge was going to pin Roman, or Edge was going to pin Daniel Bryan, or vice versa, and Roman didn't get pinned, so then he could be like, "Hey, I didn't get pinned. I'm still a champion. It doesn't count."
I do like the idea of the Usos costing Roman, but is it now or is it later on after they're already holding the tag titles? Like, this storyline can go on for years, and I think it's going to culminate at least till next year, trying to get The Rock in to do Rock and Roman for Mania. And even then, I don't think Roman loses.
It's going to be tough.
The rumors of being Roman versus Cena at SummerSlam. There's no shot that I think Cena's taking the title if that is the case. I mean, there is really no one who I think that can take the title off of Roman.
You would see the internet wrestling community lose their mind if Cena wrestles at SummerSlam and beats Roman for the title.
Oh, absolutely.
They will legitimately lose their damn mind. And I get it. They are probably trying to make Cena break Ric Flair's record because he's one away from beating if he wins one.
He's tied right now.
Yeah. So it's like, is that going to be it? Like, does he beat Roman for that title? And then after that, then Cena goes back to being what he dissed The Rock on, of being like a part-timer, because as soon as SummerSlam's over, he's got to go back to filming.
There was another theory that I came up with, and it's like, do you have Roman hold the title until after they do this draft that apparently is being reported. Do you have Drew be the one to beat Roman sometime next year or even this year? Would Drew be a good candidate to dethrone Roman?
I think I think Drew could be. And then you've got the reports that WWE is working with MLW, and maybe they bring some of them in there and they do like a new Samoan dynasty kind of thing.
Roman's got some cousins over there, so
yeah.
I mean,
and so
possible.
maybe does that. I mean, there's with Roman and their family, these storylines are endless, and you can drag, like you said, you can drag this out, and it's still what's going to happen. And now that you have Roman with Paul as his mouthpiece, that makes it way better than Roman doing this, looking at his hand from the script.
I even said, I mean, this storyline can go as far as like adding like Anaya or Tamina even to the group and just making it, like you said, a Samoan dynasty where there is a lot of lineage, a lot of players in WWE today where if they need some, rejuvenating, where to send them.
And you've got The Rock's daughter down there at the Performance Center.
Exactly.
So maybe she plays a part in this.
There's a lot of stuff to talk about, but really trying to stay on topic of this
right. Yeah.
This particular match, because I mean, I don't want to take away from Edge, being that like this guy is one of the best ever really to do it. Does he have a chance in this match?
I think he does. I think if any time, and I said this, it's hard to pull it off of Roman.
Yeah.
I think if any time, it's Edge. I mean, you look at the guy, came back from career-ending like Dunzo, came back, put on a hell of a match with Randy Orton, came back, Royal Rumble, came back, put on a hell of a match, came back after another injury and put on a hell of a match at WrestleMania. I think this is the time that Edge gets the title. And he's bringing the older fans like us back into wrestling, because you see Edge there and you're like, oh, I remember this. I remember the time that, him and Lita in the middle of the ring and this and this and this. So it's like, I would like to see Edge get the new title. I think it's, as much people are like, oh, we don't want legends having titles and blah, 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 blah. I think it's time for Edge to have that title. And you can even drag this out and have Edge beat Roman, and Roman has some kind of thing of like, no, this didn't happen and blah, 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 blah. And Edge still wins the title. And, spear versus spear.
There's a report going, a rumor, report, whatever you want to call it. You never know anymore. That there's a match for SummerSlam that's being debated. Edge versus Seth Rollins.
I'd pay for that one. I'd buy a ticket to it.
What if Edge wins the Universal Championship from Roman at Money in the Bank, and then if Seth wins Money in the Bank, he cashes in right on Edge. Wins.
I would, if that happened,
a match for SummerSlam.
If that happened, I would buy a plane ticket to Las Vegas, and I would be sitting there in the arena to watch Edge versus Seth Rollins.
Like Edge finally wins the match after the title after 10 years. The whole story, wins the Universal Championship, and out of nowhere gets stomped, and in minutes loses to Seth Rollins, who cashes in.
Seth pulls off another WrestleMania moment.
Yep. And now,
and maybe let's throw this out there as well, kind of going back to trying to beat Roman. What if, Seth comes in, because I mean, they've hinted and alluded to Seth and Roman again doing their thing.
Yep.
So let's say Seth wins Money in the Bank, and this is the way to get Edge to win the title. So let's say this is what I'm thinking. Seth cashes in the Money in the Bank, makes it a triple threat for the main event at Money in the Bank.
Yep.
Edge pins Seth for the title. And that can set that thing up. And then, Roman does his thing, and that's where you get Roman and Cena at SummerSlam. That's my theory.
Any one of these, I think, would be ideal.
Yeah. I think that would probably be
your
your best
to that point.
Yeah. I think that could be your best bet. If anything, if you really want Edge to have the title and you want to see Roman and Cena at SummerSlam, I think that's the way to do it. That way it's not a big match for Cena to come in and win the title, and Cena could put over Roman even more. And then we get Edge and Seth again.
I don't know. I'm excited for this Sunday.
Hey, there's so many possibilities. We could probably sit here and do this for like 3 hours.
Exactly. There's just so much that you can come up with where it's like, how can that not happen?
Yeah. It's going to be insane.
Yeah. So is there anything on this card that you think you have down locked and loaded? This is exactly what's going to happen. Anything that you're set on that, you think is going to actually happen?
I think going through kind of looking at everything, I think when it comes to the Money in the Bank match, I'm going to set and lock down with Big E winning. It's his time.
Yeah. I have to tend to agree with you there. I just think that if they're going to pull the trigger to put Big E in the main event, I mean, he was just coming off of starting a story with formerly known as Aleister Black. Really just ended up being nowhere. I mean, yeah. Where's Apollo been? I mean, did he go back into that story? Like, there's not really anywhere to put him right now. So I think this would be the best move. Big E winning Money in the Bank. I'm excited for it.
I'm excited. I'm ready to see that opening sequence of welcome in to WWE Money in the Bank. Pa, 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 pa. Wow! Real people, not piped in music.
Yep.
Or a virtual screen either. That's going to be the best part that I'm excited about. And I know that over the past couple weeks, it's been kind of hard to watch, but I feel as if this Sunday, it's going to take the turn, and it's going to bring people back, and it's rejuvenated, and people are going to be pumped because, well, Friday night's the first live show with fans.
Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, you've got that, and then the pay-per-view, they're going to pull all the stops out to make sure they say, hey, look, we're here to stay. We're ready to go. Let's do this. Welcome back, fans.
It kind of feels like the shows after WrestleMania in a way where it's like, you don't know who's going to show up, what's going to happen. Surprises are planned, but you don't know where the hell they're going to go with it. So much, going on to look forward to. And again, with the pandemic era finally being over, I think us as wrestling fans, we're really appreciative to things that we weren't necessarily appreciative before. I mean, like having live fans, having the reactions, having just the atmosphere where we were so used to seeing and having it taken away. I think now there's a newfound respect and appreciation for it, where I think it's going to be loud.
It's going to be nuts, because I remember last year we were set to go to NXT in Nashville. And they were doing a show, and that was right as soon as COVID hit. And I was like, oh, we'll still be able to go to the show. It's going to be fine. Like, this is just going to be a little thing. It's going to blow over. And then it's like canceled, postponed, moved. And I was like, now what? And then this being able to be at a live show and watching fans, it's going to be amazing.
Yep. I kind of had the same situation. I had tickets for what originally was supposed to be AEW Blood and Guts in Newark, New Jersey. The original of it. And that was in March of 2020, and that got canned.
That's
and then they moved it to July, and then they canceled it again.
It's heartbreaking.
Yeah. So, like I said, very appreciative to be where we are now, where we're getting everything back.
Yes.
And, I know I've said it a million times, but I'm just excited, man. And
it's
going to be a great weekend.
It's going to be some fun stuff to watch for sure.
And we have Impact's Slammiversary the night before. So, I mean, that's going to be a great way start off with great surprises, because July 15th is that big day for most WWE released talent or released WWE talent from April. So if they didn't have that 90-day clause.
Right. If they didn't have that 90-day clause, it's from what I've heard, Saturday's show for Impact is going to be nuts. That's all I can say, because I did voice the promo for Slammiversary. So when you listen to it, that's me on there doing the future endeavors and blah, blah, blah. What I can say is it's going to be absolutely nuts Saturday.
I'm excited for that show too. I mean, like I said, this whole weekend and going forward, pro wrestling, I guess you can say, is really back and ready to go. And it's a great time to be a pro wrestling fan.
For sure. I'm pretty pumped about it. And Friday night's the kickoff for it.
Battle, I want to thank you for taking the time. I know we went a little over than normal, but that's always expected when we get into these conversations.
Yeah, for sure. And it was no problem. I was literally sitting here at the house, so we're good. So we are good to we could go for longer next time. So yeah, I'm very appreciative, and thank you so much for letting me be on the show today.
Of course, yeah, and I love to do this again with you. And for those fans watching and listening, where can they go to find more of you and what you're doing? Because I know you're doing a lot of great things. You just had some great guests on that I've seen recently, and you said Kofi coming up this week. So
yeah. So my personal stuff is across the board. It's Battle on Air, Twitter and Instagram for both of those. If you want to follow the podcast, we are on Instagram at Battleground Podcast. On Twitter, it's Battleground IHR. And of course, Friday, dropping a new episode. Kofi Kingston's going to be on. So we're going to talk about Joey's universal thing out there of what he thinks is going to happen with Kofi. So we'll talk about that. So that's going to drop wherever you listen to your podcast. And of course, we'll have it on our YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com/Battleground Podcast, and you can check out some past interviews like Drew McIntyre, where all of a sudden Sheamus comes in with a guitar and starts calling him an ass. So if you want to check that out, definitely go do that. And again, make sure that down here, you see there's a like button, thumbs up, click that. And then over here, there's a subscribe button. If it's not highlighted, go ahead and do that. And then wherever the bell is for this, click that as well. So click all three, thumbs up, subscribe, and bell for my man Joey over there.
Battle, I appreciate you taking the time and putting me over that way. Again, everybody listening right now, go follow, like, and subscribe to Battle's podcast, Battleground Podcast. Follow them on social media. And again, like and comment, subscribe down below. And I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Battle, once again, thank you.
Dude, it was an honor. Glad to be here. Definitely have to do this again. We'll have to get you on our show as well.
Absolutely. And looking forward to Money in the Bank and seeing what happens with all these different scenarios that we just came up with.
Oh, yeah.
And before you go, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe down below to stay up to date with the next big interview right here on the Angle Podcast.